Good morning, everyone. Lovely to see you again. Lovely to see the sunshine here. And it looks as if this might be sunshine in lots of places today. So good morning, Ethel, Jo, Karen, Jill, Shirley, June, Fiona, Jane, Sue, Heather, Viv, another Anne, Fiona, Kaz, Pat. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to come and see me today. And I think you will be pleased you did, because I've got a very, very pretty little card to show you here today. And I'm going to be showing you some of the new Sue Wilson set that came out just a couple of days ago. And I'm quite liking them. I'm liking this one a lot. So something a bit different. And I have used these stamp die cuts before, Stampcut Dies. I always get that wrong, Stampcut Dies before in some workshops in February when the first range came out. And I was really enjoying using those, but I never got round to showing you, not least for the fact that they were so popular that we just couldn't get them in stock. The suppliers were just like bowled over by how popular they were, and they couldn't get them. So today I'm going to be using two of them. I'm going to be using the butterfly, the Stampcut Butterfly, the Stampcut Spring Roses and Daffodils. Odd combination, but it works really well with this. And I'm also going to use some of the bold shadowed sentiments in the Hello one. There are quite a few other of these different wordings, but I like that one. And there is one more of this, which I will show you another day, which is the Wild Rose set as well. So I will show you them. But let me show you, and let me show you a few tips along the way of using them. So first of all, I'm going to choose this one. Now, they are very, very simple but clever die set. So it's just one die. And it will not only stamp that image that you can see there today, so with all of the detail, you will get a stamp, but at the same time, it's a die, which will cut out perfectly every time. It fits through a very small machine, so even if you've only got a Cuttlebug, and possibly even one of the little tiny ones, the mini ones, you probably get through there. But it's a really clever idea. And I'm going to show you my tips for doing it today. So I'm going to be colouring it with alcohol markers, and therefore I'm going to be using my Memento ink. So I'm going to use black Memento. I have used different coloured inks on it, but I have found that the black one does work better than any others. It shows up, it has a better contrast than any others. So now the odd thing is that because you have got to ink your die itself, literally the die itself, you have to put ink onto it. You have a little bit of an issue with this, perhaps, because, hold on a minute, how can I get ink all over that and then pick it up and then make sure I don't get ink on my fingers and then put it on a die cutting machine and then try and cut it? Okay, so when I have seen this being done, so I've got my plate for my machine, and I've put a piece of white copy paper onto that machine, and then we stick it down like that. However, what I've also then found is if we then add the ink to it, we risk moving that all over the place, and it picks, you know, like what it's like sometimes when an ink pad actually picks up the ink, that picks up the die. Well, we can't be doing with that. So simply grab yourself a piece of double-sided tape, fold that over so that it is stuck to itself, and pop that on the back of the die. Doesn't matter where, just on the back of the die. And then pop that down onto your piece of paper with, well, as I say, where your mat is underneath for your die cutting machine. That way, it's now stuck on there. And that way, I can now not worry about it moving about, and it's good to go. So let me show you what I then will do. So I'm going to add my Memento ink to it. And as I said, now you can see why that if you didn't stick it down, you would then get all this marking here onto your base plate of your die cutter. Things going to go through the die cutter, so I wouldn't recommend that. Otherwise, you'd spend more time taking the ink off of the plate than you would actually doing the machine. The other good thing is that because it is going to be cutting out, you don't need to worry about picking up any of this outside ink onto your finished project, because that really doesn't matter at all. You can also see that I'm trying to kind of like push this corner of the ink pad into the actual die itself, because there's lots of details and it's fractionally debossed, which will give you a really lovely image. So in order to not create much waste at all, I have then taken a piece of A4 card and I have cut it into 4. And then I'm going to simply place that over the top of my stamped image. Then I'm going to put my plate sandwich, finish my sandwich off, if you could call it that. And then I'm just going to run that through my die cutting machine. Done. And then when I take that off, my die has still stayed stuck to there. I can continue to use that without any problems. And this has cut out completely and utterly in one. So I've got that lovely image, and it didn't matter that I've got some of the ink that was round here all over there, because that's waste. And because I've done it on an already cut out piece, if you see what I mean, rather than do it on one big A4 piece of card, I can just position my piece of card over the top of the die and not get too much waste at all. So I think that's a really nice way of doing it. So I've now got, every time, my beautifully cut out stamped image, which I think works really, really well. So I'm going to pop that to one side just for the moment. And I'm just going to take some of the inks and colour up. You can see I've already done some, to colour up my image. So I'm going to be using a mixture of Copics and Pro markers. It's a really simple way of colouring it. Now, there's 2 ways that I recommend before, which was to either stamp it onto a coloured piece of card in the first place, so that you can see that you've got colour there already, or in my mind, it's better to just go less is more. I think you'll see what I mean in a minute. So first of all, I'm going to take my green, which is called moss green from the Copic range. And wherever there are the leaves, so I have to look at my pattern and see where the leaves are, I'm just going to go over with my moss green Copic pen. So it doesn't matter what pen it is, just going to go over there and pick out all my leaves as I go round and just colour them in green. So I'm not being very fussy with them, I'm just making sure that I'm going with the green part there and just colour them in and just picking them out as I go. So it's a really simple, I prefer it, a really simple way of colouring. I think it looks better than putting loads of colour down, but everyone's an individual. I have tried them, and when I first got them, I was disappointed because I tried to colour them in the way that I would normally colour a flower. Not quite sure why, but for me, it didn't work like that. So I found that by doing it this way, it pleased me. And at the end of the day, you do whatever pleases you. So there are all my leaves on there. They're all green and done. Then I'm going to take my Copic marker again, and this one's called Milky White. So it's a very, very pale, well, milky white. It says what it is, doesn't it? Now this is for the roses. So I've got 3 roses, 1, 2, 3. But all I'm going to do with them is just go over a little bit. I'm just putting a bit of colour on it. I'm not following any particular line. I'm just literally going around basically the outside petals and just putting a little bit of colour down. So not very much at all. Okay, so again, not like I would normally do if I was colouring flowers in of any sort. So that's that colour. I've coloured my roses, it's done. I'm then going to get a pro marker this time, and funnily enough, it's actually called Daffodil Bloom. So I thought, do you know what? That's probably a good colour for my daffodils. So I'm going to colour the outside petals. So we've got sort of two parts to these daffodils. And I'm going to colour those in the Daffodil Bloom, and I'm going to leave the centre just for the moment. I'm going to do that to the other one. And as I said, these have got like a debossed texture to them. So they're really quite a clever little idea, to be honest. So I'm not going to worry too much about picking out and making that I've coloured absolutely everything. I feel that this works better by doing that. Then I'm going to take another Copic marker, and that one's called Fruit Pink. And I'm just going to colour the centres of my daffodils. And again, I'm just going over them once. Copic markers, in general, alcohol markers, tend to get, as we know when you've seen me using it before, deeper and deeper with the colour. And I don't want deeper colours. I want very, very pale colours today for what I'm going to do. Okay, so that is my first one, and I've already cut out another 3 of those, and you'll be pleased to hear I've already coloured them as well, so you don't have to sit and watch me do those. So they will be put to one side for my card in just a second. And that's my daffodils, spring roses and daffodils. So now I'm going to take the same background piece, another piece of paper, just grab hold of said piece of paper and pop that onto my mat. And I'm going to pop my daffodil, my beautiful butterfly. It's very, very pretty, very ornate. So I'm going to do exactly the same because I don't want to have to chase it around my piece of card. I'm going to take a piece of sellotape, double-sided. Is ideal, but this isn't double-sided, sorry. This is the low tack tape. So I'm just going to fold it back on itself. And I'm going to find somewhere, there will do, to pop my little bit of, I'll make that a bit too big. I don't think it matters really, but I don't want it that big. So let's just roll it up, that's better. And pop that in the centre. And then my daffodil will stay, my butterfly will then stay in place. So now, as I just said, you either stamp it onto your white card or coconut white card, whatever, but I wanted it to actually be onto a slightly coloured piece this time. So I have taken this champagne piece, and that I've cut it already, so it's going to go over there like that. So I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to lay down my colour, and I'm going to push the corner of the ink pads into my butterfly to make sure that I get as good a outline as I possibly can, because I do feel that that works the best. So if you just press straight down like that, I have found that it doesn't have such a good finish. So if you press down, because you are stamping your die, inking your die as if it was a stamp. It's a very different concept. So I'm applying all that, then going to put my piece of champagne card, coloured card, down on there, my mat on top of that, and run that through. So if you did it on a blue piece or something like that, you would get a blue butterfly, obviously, which would be a really pretty one as well. But here we find that we've got our beautiful butterfly. Whoops. Oh, it's alive. Already cut out and ready to colour in a little bit more. Okay. But as I said, if you were to take, let's take a piece. Let's take a piece of pink. Well, let me just show you how beautifully that comes out as well. So I've got a piece of pink card paper here, so I'm going to do it on that. I'm not going to use this one, but I just want to show you that you don't have to be any good at colouring to colour this in. So I'm just going to ink it up again so that you can see what we've done. Popped all that. Now this is only one-sided, so I need it to go that way round so that the colour is going to be on the pink. And then this way, if you're no good at colouring, don't enjoy colouring or whatever, this is already done for you, which works really well. Whoops. And there's your pink butterfly. Oh gosh, they're alive. There's your beautiful pink butterfly already with all those beautiful lines on, which you could colour in and make beautiful, but you don't have to. So now that one looks rather sad compared to that, but I think you'll agree in a minute, it will look really, really lovely. So let's pop that to one side with our pink butterfly as well. Bring in my scrap bit of card and I'm going to colour in my butterfly. So with this one, I'm going to actually use another couple of Copics. I've got Flesh Pink and I've also got a darker one, which is called Chamois. Ooh, get me. They are in the same colour range of the E, so that's the earth colours for the Copics. And because it's of a similar type of colour to that, it should work hopefully quite well. So I'm going to start off with my Flesh Pink, and I'm just going to go from the centre of my butterfly towards the outside. So I'm just laying that down on both sides. Now I'm not being particularly careful, I'm going over every line, but you have got beautiful lines on here to be able to do if you wanted to. If I bring the camera down a bit more, you should be able to see that. So then I'm going to go with my darker colour and I'm going to bring this in from the outside in. So I'm going to bring that in on all of the outside edges there, including that bit that sticks out, so that I've got a darker edge here. And again, from this side. So all I'm doing is a stroking movement and just bringing that all the way in like that. I'm also going to go into the middle of my butterfly and I'm going to colour that 2 or 3 times over because I want the body to be of the same colour that I'm using, but I want it to be more of a body, to notice it if it's more than a body. Then I'm going to go back with my Flesh Pink. Do prefer to use the brush end, and I'm just going to then blend this in. So I'm just going to colour that over a bit more. So I'm just blending the 2 colours together. So where they met, I'm just going to go in a bit more, a bit darker in the centre. So this is what I say about you can layer up the colours with the alcohol markers. And then I'm just going to go finally in once more with the darker colour. Oh, wrong end. And then just pull that darker colour in so that it just highlights it even more. Obviously, you can colour these as you wish, but I am a suckler for butterflies. I just love butterflies. So, and there's a lot of them around. So there we go. There is my beautiful butterfly, which you could say is a pretty sort of a dull colour, but I think you'll see in a minute that it actually really works like that. Okay, so that's all my colouring done. I'm just going to pop that to one side. We're nearly there to show you the final thing. And then I'm just going to grab myself my card. So here is my card that I'm going to finish with. So it is an 8x8 card, and I've already cut myself some of the elements to go with it. So I've cut myself a piece of the champagne card, and I've done it 1 centimetre smaller all the way around. So that one is 19 centimetres all the way around. And I've then cut myself a piece of white card at 18.5 centimetres all the way around, giving me a smaller border, but nevertheless a nice border. However, because I'm being a little bit frugal here, before I stick them down, I want to cut out from here, from this centre here, I want to cut out my sentiments. Now, the sentiments are in two ways. They have a shadow. Whoops. I'm trying to get the shadow out for you. They have a shadow, so there's my shadow, and they have the word itself. They also, all of them have a little set of extra, very pretty font too, extra little words to go with it. And if you wanted, they've also got another little blank there, so to speak, that you would then pop your word, stamp your word, and then cut it out perhaps like that. I'm not going to use that today. I just want the one word. I'm not even going to use the shadow, but you have got quite a lot of choice on there, so that's quite nice. So I'm going to take this, and I'm actually going to cut it out from the middle of this piece because I'm being frugal. Rather than go and get another piece of card, I'm going to be frugal because the white piece is going to cover it completely. So I'm just going to put a bit of low tack tape on there to keep that into place, and I'm just going to cut that out. And then I think you'll notice then really how right one. You'll notice how fine this is. It's a very, very fine font. Fine font. And it looks really nice. So I think you'll like that too. Okay. Done. Going through, going through. Here we go. So then you can see, peel that off. Just get my little pokey tool out to poke out these bits. And it's, as I say, very, very fine, which it really looks lovely. That's a crucial bit. Oh, it's alive again. You can see that though. Isn't that lovely and fine? I think it's really pretty. So let us get our card together and you can then see it in all of its glory. So I'm going to pop this piece down first. So yes, we have got the word hello, but the good thing is that will be covered. So I don't think it's being a skinflint. It's just being using it properly. So let's put some glue onto there. So this piece goes onto our card, leaving us with a little white border all the way around. We can try and get that fairly straight, if at all possible. Then I've got my white piece, which is going to go on the top here. I'll just put an amount of glue onto there. And again, this one was cut just 0.5 centimetre smaller than the first layer, so it will give us a border, but not a massively wide one. So now I have also cut myself from one of the press cut nesting dies the same champagne colour, and I've done that in the champagne and then the next size down in the white, and I'm going to pop them on one on top of the other. However, I'm not going to actually put them in place first because I just want to make sure that I've got it in the right place. So it is going to go in the middle, but I just want to be sure before I stick it down that I've got it in the right place, because I'm going to take my beautiful roses and daffodils and they are going to go around the edge, and I just want to make sure that when I do stick it down that I've got my circle bit actually in the center, and that looks about okay to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some foam tape on my flowers, but not on my centerpiece because I've got my butterfly to go on there. Oh, get off. Looks like they look like they've got magnets on them, don't they? The way they want to keep turning. Right, so my circle can go in the center. So I'm going to pop some foam onto the back of my daffodils. So just a little bit, and then just pop them into place. But I think, hopefully you'll agree that the colours that I've chosen here are, because they're not sort of like in your face, because they're not bright pinks or they're bright anything, I think that they work really well. I think sometimes we might get carried away with flowers, and I do myself, and I make them the most beautiful flowers you ever did see, but sometimes I think that that is just a little bit too much. And I know that I've tried that with some of the other ranges in this Stampcut Die sets and been disappointed. So have a go and do whichever you fancy, but I think that this works better for me. Less is more in this case, as they say. Less is more. So let's just pop this one here. Oh, jumped out my hand. That one there. And finally, this little beauty here. So, whoops, don't want it to be showing. So, all 4 pieces beautifully into place. There you go. So now we're going to get our butterfly. Now, before I put my butterfly on, I'm going to grab myself a white jelly roll pen, because I just want to put a bit more of detail onto my little butterfly here. So I'm going to bring my butterfly back in again, and all I'm going to do is just put some little white dots in some of the places here. So really, I'm going over some of the actual pattern that's on the butterfly itself. So I'm not making any new pattern, but some of the bits of butterfly down the bottom here, I'm just going to add some little white dots to it, just for a little bit of extra. And a little bit on his body as well. Give him the measles. It looks pretty. So my beautiful butterfly is going to be bent a little bit, and I'm going to then just put glue onto his body here. So just that bit there. And then bringing my card back over, I'm then going to pop him in the centre. Well, not quite in the centre of my circle, because I want my sentiment to go in the bottom there, but in the centre of my card, so that I've got that. I'm just using my bone folder just to press that body down, because I don't want the leaves, the wings. I don't want him to fly away now. He's too crucial to fly away. I'm then going to get myself a little bit of sticky specs sheet to add my sentiment. Just put a little bit of glue onto there. Crucial moment now. As I've so often said, if only I could use tweezers properly, I could pick up this even better. So you can see it's got like a little loopy bit here and here. And I want, because I cut that out of the same colour of the background, I actually want to position it so that those two little ends sit on the coloured end here, so that it looks as if it's all in one. You see what I mean? Hopefully you do. So let's just put my word down there. I'm just sort of allowing it to settle. Needing to move it a little bit. There we go. So I've got my word down there. And because there's just a couple of sticky bits that I don't want to be sticky, I'm just going to wipe it over with my glue eraser so that those bits are stuck onto the paper, but not so that everything gets stuck to it. And that just takes off any excess like that. There you go. Do you like it? Because I love it. So there is your finished card. And as I said, we've used the Stampcut dies, which are a very different thing, but I wanted to show you my trick of actually getting them to stay down without moving around too much and without getting mucky. In fact, I don't even know that I've got any ink on my hands, which is pretty good going, considering it could be, and it was the first time I ever used these, a very mucky experience. But yeah, I think this is very pretty, and I think it would also make even a lovely wedding card, maybe, with the colouring that I've done here, a spring wedding card maybe. But in actual fact, if you just keep the colours so they're all very, very similar, it just looks like beautiful flowers as opposed to exactly what flowers they are, which is lovely. And the detail on the butterfly and the thinness of this lovely sentiment, I think, is really very, very nice. Delicateness. Oh, goodness me, I'll cut me on a Sunday. So there you go. So all of the products that I've used today are available at this moment in time over on the website on maximumcrafts.com. So you've got lots of different choice over there. And I do hope that you pop over and have a look, just grabbing the bits and pieces to show you again. I will be back on Wednesday with some more delights to show you. I'll just show you what I have got, what I've used here today. So just, let's bring the camera out a bit more to remind you that I have used the Stampcut Butterfly, the Stampcut Spring Roses and Daffodils, and the bold shadowed sentiments. I've used the Hello one. So a nice little range for any occasion, I think. If you have enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to comment on the YouTube after we've finished today. It would be really great if you can. If you would like any of the things that we've used, pop over to the website. If you're around this afternoon and wanting to watch John Lockwood, he is on the Craft Store from 2 till 4 with all his tips and ideas for some of the iZink products, which are also available on my website if anyone would like them. So thank you very much for joining me. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you hopefully, if you can make it, on Wednesday at 11. Okay, take care then. Thanks. Bye.